So a couple of days ago on the channel, we of course talked about the upcoming Nintendo Switch games for the month of October, and it's a pretty stacked month. There was a ton of stuff coming out in the month of October. Games like Sonic Superstars, Super Mario Bros. Wonder, the Metal Gear Solid Collection, tons of stuff to drain your wallet. And unfortunately, I have to play Kong Skull Island and review it for you folks because you hate me and you got 4,000 likes on that video in 24 hours. There was another game that I was very excited for that was launching on October 13th, a game that had been long rumored, or a series of games I should say, that had been long rumored to be coming to the Nintendo Switch. Nate the Hate said it was happening. I would bother him about this all the time because one of these games in this trilogy of games is one of my favorite video games of all time. I own it on a myriad of platforms, but I want it one more time on the Switch. I, of course, am talking about October 13th's release of the Batman Arkham Trilogy, consisting of Batman Arkham Asylum, Batman Arkham City, which is one of my favorite games of all time, and Batman Arkham Knight. Looking at this trilogy of games upon first glance, you wouldn't think there's anything too terribly challenging about this, but of course, this is the Nintendo Switch with third-party developers, so who's really to say? There's been lots of questionable ports on the system. But when you look at Arkham City and Arkham Asylum, both of those games released during the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3 era. Of course, they were ported to other systems, like the Wii U version of Arkham City, the Armored Core Edition. That's like one of my favorite versions of that game, because I love the detective work that you did on the Wii U gamepad. One of the few cool uses of the Wii U gamepad from a third-party developer. But Arkham Knight was kind of the outlier game. That game, of course, only released on the PlayStation 4 and the Xbox One, so a bit of a more challenging port. Well, yesterday we got some news on this trilogy, the Arkham Trilogy, and as you can see here, I mean, it's not the best news in the world. I know that there's going to be people in the comments. What about what Miyamoto said? A bad game is bad forever, but a delayed game, that's a good game. It's like, tell that to Duke Nukem Forever. Like, I don't even think he actually said that, but even if he did say that, like, that's a very generic blanket statement that doesn't necessarily mean anything. And I'm not necessarily saying that this game is going to be bad now, but I do think we have to raise some questions about this due to the timing of everything. And we'll get into that a little bit more as the video goes on. But here is the statement that we have. This was from the Batman Arkham official Twitter account. You can see here, it's got a little yellow check mark. Batman Arkham Trilogy for Nintendo Switch, trademark, will now launch on December 1st, 2023. More time is needed to bring players the best experience on Nintendo Switch. We apologize to fans who are excited to play this version of the trilogy. Thank you for your patience. So just looking at this, upon first glance, you could deduce a few different things here. Could this be because there are so many games coming out in the month of October? I mean, maybe, but more realistically, they're saying the best possible experience. So I feel like there could be potentially something wrong with the optimization of these games. When we look at something like the Metal Gear Solid Master Collection coming to the Nintendo Switch in the same month, that obviously was a bit of a disappointment for a lot of people because Konami came out and told us the frame rates of these games and of course the resolution of these games, and these games are going to all be 30 frames per second on the Nintendo Switch. So we kind of all got our disappointment out of the way with that, because obviously Metal Gear Solid 2 ran at 60 frames per second back in the day. Metal Gear Solid 3 didn't run at 60 frames when it was originally released, but they have done HD versions of those games that ended up coming out onto the PlayStation 3 and the Xbox 360 that did run at 60 frames. So it's ridiculous to think that they could not get 60 frames out of this for the Nintendo Switch version of the game. But with Batman, the Arkham Trilogy, we actually don't know things like resolution or, you know, frame rate for these games. So I feel like there's a little bit more mystery with this sort of trilogy, and maybe this is something that they will address as we go along. But as of right now, on October 3rd, when I'm making this video, we don't know the frame rate of this game as being told to us by the developer. We don't know the resolution of these games, and I'm sure there's going to be some sort of dynamic resolution as well, just due to the fact that two of these games were Xbox 360 PS3 games, and one of these games wasn't. Now, I'm not the biggest fan of Arkham Knight in the world. I love Batman. Batman's my favorite superhero. Best video games, best movies, best soundtrack. soundtracks, all of that sort of stuff. But Arkham Knight, of course, introduced the Batmobile, which was, you know, a big mechanic to be adding into that game. And while, you know, I didn't really like the Batmobile in that game, obviously it's an important part of Batman Arkham Knight. So I think we can actually prove here that it's Arkham Knight, it's either Arkham City or Arkham Knight that is causing the problems, because we simply have to look at the timing of everything with this. So today is October 3rd when I'm making this video, right? This game was supposed to come out on October 13th. This game is getting a physical release for the Nintendo Switch, where you have to download Arkham City and Arkham Knight. If you get the cartridge version of it, Arkham Asylum is on the cartridge. The cartridges have already been printed. The cartridges have already been printed and potentially sent out to different retailers. So it's not Arkham Asylum that's the problem, because Arkham Asylum is what is on the cartridge. It's either Arkham City or Arkham Knight due to the timing of this. It's not like they can take those cartridges back, or they really need to, and be like, hey, we got to do some additional stuff here. We got to do some additional testing and all that sort of stuff with this version of the game, because clearly it's not that game because of the timing of this, if you know anything about how video games are manufactured. Now, we have been seeing more and more games get delayed, kind of near the finish line of when the game was supposed to come out. You might remember The Last of Us 2 had a delay before it was supposed to come out, and that game still came out absolutely amazing. Gameplay wise, you know, story wise, you could say whatever you want about it, but gameplay wise, I mean, the game is freaking phenomenal, and graphics wise, it's freaking phenomenal as well. So I'm not saying that this is necessarily like the end of the world for Arkham Trilogy on the Nintendo Switch, but I think you got to kind of look at it from a bit of a curious eye, just because of things like the timing of this. You know, 10 days before the game was supposed to release, now we're like, hey, we need a little bit more time with this. And of course, the fact that, you know, we don't know things like frame rate, we don't know things like resolution for the Arkham Trilogy on the Switch. I think if they came out and said these things, or at least at the very least what they're targeting with this, that might sort of, you know, get rid of a lot of that skepticism that's now going to be surrounding this game. Whether that skepticism is justified or not, that really comes down to the person. For me personally, I always want to be skeptical of things, because I'm never accepting of what video game companies tell me. They lie, just like the Pokemon company said that they were going to fix the performance of Scarlet and Violet. They lied. Where's my Redfall patch to make it 60 frames per second, even though I've already beaten the game? They lied. These companies lie to you all the damn time. So I don't know. I'm still excited for Arkham Trilogy, and, you know, maybe the December 1st launch will be better for the game, but you got to look at it with a little bit of a stank eye and wonder, you know, what's going on with this? Are there problems with this? Is this going to be another Metal Gear, you know, situation where the Switch version is essentially getting a shoddier port of these games that are already available on a multitude of systems, have been available for a very long time? You know, you can always buy this on, you know, Steam, playing on the Steam Deck or Ace's ROG Ally, but I'm still looking forward to it. I'm just a little bit concerned about it. I'm a little bit worried, and I don't know. I hope everything works out, and I hope they end up being great versions of the game, but I can't really say that that's going to be the case, at least as of right now. So let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think is going on with this Arkham Trilogy for the Nintendo Switch? Do you think that there is a problem? Obviously, if there is a development problem, or, you know, a port problem, it is with Arkham Knight or Arkham City. More so leaning towards Arkham Knight with this, just because, I mean, it's the game that makes the most sense as to being the most taxing on this. Or do you think this is just, you know, because of the fact that there's a lot of games coming out in October? I don't think they would have waited till 10 days before it was supposed to come out to do that, but hey, maybe you think that. And as always, guys, thank you for checking out this video. If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like, comment, and share. Hit the bell notification as well, so you're not missing out on any uploads. And as always, I'll catch you guys on the next video. Later.